You probably already know the obvious ones to avoid: chocolate, grapes, onions. You've seen the lists, you've kept those things away from your dog, and you feel good about that. You're a careful owner. You pay attention. But here's what most dog owners never think about, and it's the flip side of that same conversation. If there are foods that are dangerous for dogs, there are also foods that are genuinely beneficial, foods that support your dog's health in ways that the average bag of kibble simply can't replicate on its own, and that most owners never offer simply because nobody ever told them it was safe. This video is going to change that. We're going through 5 foods that are not only safe for your dog, but that carry real, documented nutritional benefits. What each one does inside your dog's body, how to introduce them the right way, and how much is appropriate. By the end, you're going to have a small but powerful toolkit of additions you can start offering your dog this week, backed by science, and completely free of the guesswork that makes so many owners hesitant to feed their dog anything outside the bag. Because here's the truth. Dogs are not obligate carnivores. They are omnivores whose digestive systems evolved alongside humans over thousands of years of scavenging and sharing food. Research on the genomic differences between dogs and wolves has found that one of the most significant evolutionary adaptations in the domestic dog is an increased ability to digest starch and plant-based nutrients compared to their wolf ancestors. Your dog's body was literally shaped by evolution to handle a wider variety of whole foods than most owners ever offer them. That doesn't mean anything goes. It means that within the right parameters, real food can be a genuine addition to your dog's quality of life. And it starts with this first one, which surprises almost everyone. You've probably heard conflicting things about whether dogs can eat eggs. Some people say yes without hesitation. Others say something about raw versus cooked, and then trail off uncertainly. And most owners, faced with that ambiguity, just skip it entirely. But the research on eggs and canine nutrition is actually quite clear. Cooked eggs are one of the most bioavailable sources of protein available to dogs. Bioavailability refers to how efficiently the body can absorb and use a nutrient, and on that measure, eggs score exceptionally high. A study on protein digestibility in dogs found that cooked egg protein has a digestibility rate of approximately 91%, meaning that almost all of the protein in a cooked egg is actually used by your dog's body rather than passing through unused. Beyond protein, eggs contain a meaningful spectrum of nutrients that support your dog's health in specific ways. Riboflavin and selenium support healthy metabolism. Vitamin A supports skin and coat health. Lutein and zeaxanthin support eye health in aging dogs. Fatty acids in the yolk contribute to the kind of coat condition that most owners spend money on supplements trying to achieve. The key word in all of this is cooked. Raw eggs carry a small but real risk of salmonella exposure, and raw egg whites contain a protein called avidin that interferes with biotin absorption when consumed in significant quantities. A scrambled egg, or a hard-boiled egg with no added salt, butter, or seasoning, offered a few times a week as a food topper or standalone treat, eliminates both of those concerns while preserving the nutritional benefits. Start with a small amount, particularly if your dog hasn't had eggs before, and watch for any digestive response in the first day or two. For most dogs, eggs become one of the most enthusiastically received additions to their routine. The second one is something you almost certainly have in your kitchen right now, and it's one of the most researched functional foods in canine nutrition. Blueberries get called a superfood often enough that the term has lost some of its meaning, but in the context of dogs, the nutritional case for them is genuinely strong. Blueberries are one of the highest antioxidant foods measurable by ORAC score, which stands for oxygen radical absorbance capacity, and is essentially a measure of how powerfully a food neutralizes the free radicals that contribute to cellular aging and inflammation. For dogs, this matters in a very specific way. Research on oxidative stress in aging dogs has found that oxidative damage plays a significant role in cognitive decline, joint inflammation, and immune system degradation in older animals. Studies specifically examining the effects of blueberry supplementation in dogs found improvements in antioxidant status and markers of oxidative stress in dogs who received blueberries as part of their diet over several weeks. Translated out of the research language, what this means practically is that regular blueberry intake may support your dog's cognitive function as they age, reduce the inflammatory processes that contribute to joint discomfort, and support immune system resilience in ways that go beyond what standard kibble formulas provide. Blueberries are also low in calories, which makes them genuinely useful as a training treat for dogs on calorie-restricted diets or dogs who are working on weight management. They're small enough to use directly, or they can be frozen for a different texture that many dogs find particularly engaging during warmer months. A small handful, somewhere between 10 and 15 berries for a medium-sized dog, a few times a week is a reasonable starting point. They require no preparation, and most dogs take to them immediately. If this is already giving you ideas for how to expand what your dog eats in a way that actually supports their health, this is a good moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Everything here is built around this kind of practical, research-backed understanding of what dogs actually need, not just what the packaging says. And there's a lot more coming. The third one is the one that tends to produce the most skepticism, because it's a vegetable. And most dog owners have watched their dog very deliberately eat around every piece of vegetable that has ever fallen near their bowl. But here's what changes when you understand how to offer it correctly. Carrots occupy a genuinely useful nutritional position in a dog's diet for several reasons that go beyond just vitamins. The first is mechanical. The texture of a raw carrot provides meaningful dental abrasion as your dog chews it. Research on dental health in dogs has consistently shown that mechanical chewing action against appropriately textured surfaces reduces plaque and tartar accumulation over time. Veterinary dental organizations have noted raw carrots as one of the accessible, low-cost options that provide real dental benefit without the caloric load of many commercial dental chews. The second reason is nutritional. Carrots are high in beta-carotene, which dogs convert to vitamin A. Vitamin A plays a critical role in immune function, reproductive health, and particularly in vision and eye health. For older dogs whose vitamin A levels may decline with age, regular carrot intake provides a whole food source that is easily digestible and well tolerated by most dogs. The third reason is behavioral. A large raw carrot given to a dog who is experiencing mild stress or boredom provides an outlet for chewing behavior that is both constructive and calming. Research on the neurological effects of chewing in dogs shows that repetitive chewing activates calming neurochemical pathways, which is why many dogs instinctively seek out chewing behavior during periods of anxiety. Offering a carrot during a thunderstorm, during a period of being home alone, or simply as a structured enrichment activity gives that neurological need a healthy direction. Cut carrots into appropriately sized pieces for your dog to prevent any choking risk, particularly for smaller breeds, and offer them raw for the dental benefit. Cooked carrots are also safe, but lose the mechanical abrasion advantage and some of the textural engagement that makes them valuable as a behavioral tool. The fourth one is something that has been studied specifically in the context of canine gut health, and the research behind it has shifted significantly in the last decade in ways that directly apply to what you put in your dog's bowl. Plain, unsweetened, full-fat yogurt with live active cultures is one of the most accessible sources of beneficial bacteria available for your dog's microbiome. The gut microbiome in dogs, which refers to the community of microorganisms living in the digestive tract, has become one of the most actively researched areas in veterinary medicine over the last 10 years. Research published in veterinary gastroenterology journals has found that the composition of a dog's gut microbiome influences not just digestive health, but immune function, skin condition, cognitive function, and even emotional regulation. The beneficial bacteria in yogurt, primarily Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium strains, have been shown in canine studies to support gut barrier integrity, reduce the duration and severity of antibiotic-associated digestive upset, and improve stool consistency in dogs with mild chronic digestive irregularity. For dogs who have recently completed a course of antibiotics, yogurt is particularly valuable as a food-based way to begin restoring the bacterial diversity that antibiotics disrupt. The critical qualifiers here are plain and unsweetened. Flavored yogurts contain added sugars that are counterproductive to gut health, and some contain artificial sweeteners, particularly xylitol, which is acutely toxic to dogs and must be avoided entirely. Greek yogurt is a particularly good option because the straining process increases protein concentration while reducing lactose content, which matters because many dogs have limited lactase enzyme production and can experience digestive upset with high lactose dairy. A tablespoon or two mixed into your dog's regular meal a few times a week is a simple, low-effort way to support the microbial ecosystem that underlies so much of your dog's overall health. The last one. And this is the one I want you to sit with, not just because of the nutritional profile, but because of what understanding it reveals about something much more fundamental in your dog's biology. Salmon, or more specifically cooked boneless salmon, or a small amount of canned salmon in water with no added salt, is one of the most comprehensively beneficial whole foods you can offer a dog. And the reason comes down to omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, two long-chain fatty acids that are present in meaningful concentrations in cold water fatty fish and that play roles in canine physiology that most owners have never fully appreciated. EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, is one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory compounds identified in nutritional research. In dogs, chronic low-grade inflammation underlies a significant number of the most common age-related conditions: joint degeneration, skin and coat issues, cardiovascular changes, and cognitive decline. Research on omega-3 supplementation in dogs has found measurable reductions in inflammatory markers in dogs receiving regular EPA intake, with effects comparable in some studies to low-dose anti-inflammatory medications without the gastrointestinal side effects those medications frequently produce. DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, is even more fundamental. It is a structural component of brain tissue and retinal tissue. Studies on DHA in canine development have found that puppies whose mothers received adequate DHA during pregnancy and lactation showed superior cognitive performance, improved trainability, and better visual development compared to puppies from DHA-deficient mothers. And in aging dogs, research on DHA supplementation has shown improvements in cognitive function scores in dogs with early signs of cognitive dysfunction syndrome. What this means in the most direct possible terms is this: the fat in salmon is not just safe for your dog. It is, at the molecular level, one of the building blocks of your dog's brain. Every time your dog demonstrates the intelligence, the attunement to your emotional state, the capacity to learn and remember and communicate that makes you love them the way you do, they are doing it with a brain whose function depends in part on the fatty acid profile of what they eat. Feeding your dog salmon is not a treat. It is, in a very real biological sense, feeding your dog the capacity for the connection you have with them. Cook it thoroughly to eliminate any parasitic risk, remove all bones carefully, and offer it without any added seasonings, oils, or sauces. 2 to 3 ounces for a medium-sized dog a couple of times a week provides meaningful omega-3 intake that most standard kibble formulas, even those that list salmon as an ingredient, cannot reliably replicate because omega-3 fatty acids degrade significantly during the high heat processing that kibble manufacturing requires. Drop a comment and tell me, which of these 5 surprised you most, and which one are you going to try first? And if there's a question you have about what's actually safe or beneficial for your dog to eat, write it there. Those questions shape every video on this channel, and there is always more to understand.